Hi guys, it's Goldyn with Exposure Magazine. I know that's basically how I usually introduce myself, which is weird for me that I started this live video that way, but I'm an author. And I try to keep separate exposure and my own personal passion projects and personal ventures. So welcome to Sunday Sip. It is going to be another quick one today. There will be announcements in a few minutes about transitioning this live stream into a longer format, blah, blah, blah. So I want to take time to say thank you first to everyone who has downloaded, shared, reviewed, and just spread the word about Disruptive. I appreciate it. And this is the book. I appreciate it. It's not a thick book. 72 pages. Most people have given feedback saying that they were able to read it in one sitting, which I think is a compliment. So I'm thankful and I'm blessed and I'm happy that it's resonating. That was my intent, to make sure that not only did I share my story and use my voice or my platform, no matter how small it is. I feel like it's really small, but to use my platform to help as many people as I can, to try to understand the point of view and perspective that I have and what I've been experiencing for the last 4.5, close to 5 years. Which is, when I say it, is very interesting that it's almost been 5 years since all of this began, the incident that inspired the books, which is really crazy. It'll be 5 years in December. So I wanted to say thank you to everyone for that. Also, I've been getting a lot of great feedback this week from a lot of the previous Sunday Sip videos that I've done. For some reason, people are catching on to it. People are viewing it on my Instagram, my IGTV. So this video will also be posted to my IGTV, but they have time constraints over on Instagram TV versus Facebook, where I can go for a longer period of time. So I'll try to make everything I need to say concise today to ensure that I meet the format for the video requirements for IGTV. So last week when I recorded, I shared a few things that were on my mind that did not sit well with my spirit, since everybody's doing this now and saying what sits well with their spirit and what doesn't. It didn't sit well with my spirit about Dr. Blasey Ford being persecuted or ridiculed for wanting to come forward to share her testimony and her account of what took place allegedly with Mr. Kavanaugh while they were in high school. Since then, this whole week has been madness because politics got involved, which is really unfortunate, but it was inevitable. So here we are. Because Dr. Blasey Ford had been ridiculed and everything, she decided to come forward, but she wanted things to be on her terms, which is a valid request. If she's coming forward, there are certain requirements. I also went into a little detail about how I identified with that and her similar circumstances of receiving threats and fearing for her safety. So since our last conversation, she has had to uproot her family. She's had to move. She has not returned back to work. Her whole personal life was upended and thrown into a mist of chaos, and a lot of political things have been done and said since then. And it's only been 7 days, or a little less than 7 days, since all of this first occurred. So she's, getting death threats. And then they said that allegedly Kavanaugh's family is now receiving threats as well from the other side. And so it's become really ugly really fast. And it's publicly ugly. So now we learned that she will, in fact, come forward this Thursday to share her account and share her story. And without getting too political again, the administration is trash. I'll continue to say that. And I stand by that. So save your feedback because I don't care. It's my opinion. So this administration is trash. The person who's in charge of the administration started to personally attack Dr. Blasey Ford a couple of days ago, and her decision to not come forward, which sparked a hashtag called Why I Didn't Report. Reading through that hashtag on Twitter, it was the number one trending topic for a while. And reading through that hashtag of different people's accounts, there is everything that you see that's happening now to Dr. Blasey Ford is why people don't come forward. It's why people don't report. It is why people remain silent and suffer and have consistently battle internally with themselves and have issues with things that go unaddressed. Most of the time, people don't speak up because of fear of retaliation or fear for safety, all of the things that you're seeing play out in real time. And that happens to a lot of whistleblowers, and it happens to a lot of people who decide to take the courageous step to speak up and do and say what they feel like they need to say and do. So that's my spiel on that. Back to Disruptive. So here's some news. Disruptive, last week I said Disruptive was available on iBook. It is available on iBook. It's also available on Kobo and a few other retailers. It's been doing pretty good on Barnes & Noble and Amazon. If you have Kindle Unlimited, Disruptive is also available through Kindle Unlimited. So please check it out. Share with people you know who may be going through that. Hopefully, people take away from that and they learn something. Always, I encourage you to share reviews. This week, I want to jump into a couple of chapters. One chapter I wanted to jump into real quick because I keep getting the question. I've been getting the question all week is my chapter, which is chapter 3, which the title is HR is in place to protect the company, not the employee. I have HR people that were a little upset with me when they saw the chapters in the book, and I was fully aware that would be the case, and I'm fully aware that happened, and I'm okay with that. The reason why I'm okay with that is because it's the truth. HR is there to protect the company. They are in place to protect the company from litigation, protect the company as far as employees are concerned, and they're there to enforce and oversee and execute the policies of the company. That is the basis of the human resources department of a company that you are employed with. People get upset when I share in here the things that you need to do. So my 3 tips, I have 3 tips that I will share with you that I feel like you need to take into consideration in speaking up. And that is manage your expectations. Your initial contact with HR should be in writing. It should be via email, and you always need to have proof of what you say happened or of your experience, whether that's recordings, emails, or a reliable witness. So that's the first thing. You need to have your proof. Second thing is you need to manage your expectations, and you need to email your HR representative within your company. I suggested email, and my preference is email because your initial contact and your initial reporting needs to be documented. It needs to be date and time stamped. So I feel that would be the best way to have an accurate record of what you said versus what HR interpreted and what they will in turn share as the investigation process plays out. A couple of questions you need to ask HR is, what can I expect from the process? Who will you talk to besides me about this particular issue? What is the time frame in which a resolution will be reached? And what if I'm not happy with the results of the investigation? You also need to ask you also need to ask what happens in the event there is no resolution. And the reason why I took my time to say that is because sometimes that's a tricky question to ask, because most of the time the HR representative will say, well, we will do our best to resolve it. So if you don't feel comfortable asking that question, don't. But on the other hand, you would probably, if you feel like it's serious enough and HR is not going to take it seriously, there are resources that you can consult with, which would be the EEOC. They have a wealth of information on their website as far as, how to protect yourself from retaliation. A lot of people fear retaliation. That's why they don't speak up to HR. I feel that you don't need to fear retaliation, but open door policies sometimes are not truly open door policies. So be careful with that. Protect yourself always, and definitely make sure that you initiate your concerns in your complaint in writing. Doing it by reporting things to HR by email gives you a couple of advantages. It gives you the advantage of reading what you send before you send it. Gives you editing control. It gives you a way to organize your concerns and organize the priority in which you would want HR to address your concerns. So those are the 3 things that I would recommend that you take into consideration when you approach HR. Again, there are resources out there. Sometimes you may even want to seek legal counsel. The thing that I share in the book about seeking legal counsel is it can be tricky, because just because you call an attorney or you email an attorney does not constitute privilege. So do not misunderstand what privilege is. When you contact an attorney and you explain to them what the information or what the situation is, you need to be limited in your information that you share, because it's not covered by attorney-client privilege, because you're not a client. You're consulting and trying to get information from an attorney on whether you have a case, whether, or any other legal advice that you are looking to gain from that conversation. So be limited in your conversation as far as what you can share information, but just not share too much, because things get back to employers and HR departments all the time. They don't have a contract with you. The attorney is not bound by an attorney-client privilege. So it's imperative that you are careful about that and recognize that until you sign a contract and you make an agreement to hire the attorney, nothing is protected by privilege. So those are my tips for the week. I want to also announce or share with you that earlier this week I wrote an article on medium.com in response to what I saw as far as whistleblowers being attacked and people who coming to speak forward. And the name of the article was, is basically stating that I reported sexual assault that was committed by my bosses and I paid the price. So if you have a moment, go on medium.com to read that article. And also, I'm proud to announce that we are planning, and I am planning, I always say we, because I think about me and my tribe, and it's a we thing. But I am in the midst of putting together a book tour starting in January of 2019 to a few different colleges and a few different women's organizations that are wanting me to speak. So if you are interested in that and you would like to book me for that, definitely reach out to me. And in closing, I just want everyone to have more compassion for people who decide to embrace the courage and embrace their inner strength in order to step forward to share their account. Everyone deserves to be heard, whether you believe it or not, whether they have proof or not, whether someone can corroborate their story or not. It is a personal experience that happened to them, and it deserves acknowledgement. So try to be a little kinder to people who share their experiences, and be a little more empathetic to those who have the courage that do, because the ones who have been and who are quiet are watching, and it doesn't encourage them to want to share their story because they're watching mob mentality take over. So thank you for joining me for Sunday Sip. Today, I'm sipping on strawberry lemonade kombucha, or it's Simple Truth Organic. And the strawberry lemonade is non-alcoholic. If you haven't already, pick up the book, Kindle Unlimited, Barnes & Nobles, Amazon, and iBook. And if you're in college, you can definitely look at Yuzu or Kobo. And join me again next Sunday for Sunday Sip. We will be continuing this for the month of October, and there's some exciting news I have to share for the month of October. And stay tuned. Thank you for joining me, and see you next Sunday for Sunday Sip.